Hi there, it's Simone. Today I would like to give a little update on all the planners and journals that I have been using in 2020. And as you can see, it is a lot, but actually it's not. So let's just maybe start with the main bulk of the lineup. This is, I think, I actually didn't really look at my lineup video from the beginning of the year. Maybe I should have done that. But I think, if I remember correctly, this is what I started out with in 2020. This is my everyday carry, my planner, what I'm using daily. It is an A6 Stalogy in a Hobonichi cover. I started it on January 1st, as you do when you start. Well, actually, I started it on the last week of December, on Monday, 30th of December. This is where the 1st of January is included that week. This is where I started. I have used it a lot. I love it. I put everything in here. I decorate. I changed from the beginning of the year. I used it as 1 page per day. Then I quickly realized that didn't really suit my needs that well. So I moved back. Let me check where that actually was. This was 1 page per day. Still, this too. I think that next week is the week where I switched to having multiple days per week. Maybe not. Let's see. This is, so February was still when I put 1 day per page, 1 day per week. Wow. And then in March, obviously that changed. So there, Monday the 2nd and Tuesday the 3rd are on 1 page. It works. I have been doing this ever since, and it works much better for me. That way it doesn't feel like a waste. Once this whole shelter-in-place situation started, I did not use it only for tasks and a schedule. We don't really have one. We don't have any appointments outside the house, but I started adding journaling. First, I just added like bullet points, and then later on, I started adding little teeny tiny paragraphs, and I started using more and more stickers. And today is May 14th. So yesterday I used actually 2 pages for 1 day. The day before I only used 1 page. And then here again I used two pages. And it works really, really well for me. I still have this much left in the A6, and even though it's really great and I love it, I am not going to continue in this A6 because I have received a B6 Stalogy in a giveaway, and I want to use what I have first before I purchase more planners and journals. So that is what I'm going to use. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing what the size change is going to do for me. So that's my everyday carry. Use it every day. The other thing that I use very frequently, this is why it looks so weird, is my journal. I am journaling in a Hobonichi Weeks this year, and I started that in November. It was kind of funny because I had originally ordered this Hobonichi Weeks for my son as a school date book kind of thing, but I had another one for 2019. He promised me he was going to use it. He didn't, and so I decided I was just not going to give it to him for his school because it would be a waste of money and paper. And I was really inspired to work in this And so I just did, and it stuck, and I really enjoyed it. And so that's what I have been doing ever since. So I started on this week, the last week of October. So I just added this here. I loved how this turned out, and so I just decided to try and see how it would go. And once I noticed that that's what I was going to do, I just kept on going. And I have been journaling in this ever since. Since I started journaling in here as well, I haven't been as diligent as I was to keep up. So I'm still working on the week 18, the week of the 27th of April, which means I'm kind of 2 weeks behind. I'm okay with that. I haven't been drawn to working in here as much as I have been before. Right now I'm actually forcing myself to work in this every day for a tiny bit. Doesn't really have to be that much. And I still feel much better once I'm done, or once I'm sitting down and working in it. It's just like a really hard build-up time to actually go in here. And so by forcing myself to do this, I still get the good feeling that I want. But yeah, so I'm just continuing, maybe not as much and as enthusiastically as I have been in here. If at some point this doesn't bring me joy anymore, I won't force myself to continue. But right now, every time I sit down and every time I work in it, it does bring me joy. So I'm okay with forcing myself. And we'll see how all of this evolves after we are kind of going back to a more normal lifestyle, if whatever this may look like. And maybe then I'm not journaling in here anymore and I'm going back to journaling in here more. I don't know. But for now, this still works. I keep my paintbrush that I use for the watercolor letters in here, as well as the pen that I've been using. This one is my reference notebook. I haven't been using it that much since the pandemic started and we've been staying home, because I really don't need to go through all of those steps. So I usually did a weekly review. I did a monthly review. I still do this, but it's not as necessary to keep my life organized, and so I'm like flaking off. What I keep in here is lists and other random things. I have a grocery guide in here, like things that I buy, that I used to buy at these different places before the pandemic started. Now we're usually just shopping wherever the lines are not as long. I have a list of meals that we enjoy. I have a birthday calendar in here. I have video ideas, a someday maybe list, things that I'm thinking of doing but haven't been getting to. So I update this usually at the end of the month when I do my monthly review. I have a list in here that is ideas, which is like a monthly ideas list. And when I go through this and I'm like, okay, no, this is not something that I want to tackle now, but I don't want to forget, I put it here. And then I haven't really developed a routine on how I'm going through this to check whether this is still relevant. Maybe after 6 months or so, that would be at the end of June, I'm looking in here and seeing what I want to do and continue. I made a list for ideas for 2021 planning. Who knows? Let's see. Letters I want to write, but I haven't really checked this as I said, as diligently as I have been before all of this craziness started. So I'm not sure how this is going to continue working for me once we're back. For now, it's still in the game. I have a wish list here. This is just a taped in note paper, so I can just take it off. This would also probably be really a good thing to have in a ring planner, because then you could just remove the wish list and add a new one. This is kind of the make do for a removable ring planner. Same thing goes for ideas for presents. So I just added sticky notes for every one of my family. Theo has just had his birthday, so I didn't add his new sticky note yet. There's cleaning tasks that I'm going through frequently. Then shops that I want to purchase from. These pages I have been using really a lot in the beginning of the year. I'm still referring to this, but not as much. And then this is the rent that I'm keeping a list of. Did I send the mail? Did they receive it? Did they cash it in? A list that people, if we get visitors ever again from Germany, what I would love them to bring. This is a list. I went through all of my unfinished objects: sewing, things that I want to sew, knitting that I want to do, journaling and memory keeping wanna do, and added them all in here and tried to develop a game plan on when and where to tackle this. I fell off, but it's not like this is lost, so I can just pick it up wherever I left off. But I really like, or it feels really good to have this list here and not really need to go places and find out what I still want to do. This could be that I would maybe go back in here, same as with the Someday Maybes list, and maybe some of these aren't as relevant anymore. Maybe I decide I don't want to work on the April 2017 journal anymore, and then I will cross it off. But it's great that I don't have to go to a place and take it out and find out, oh, this is the April 2017 journal, I haven't finished it. It's right here. And then that's it. I will add lists and notes that I need if I feel the need for it. This is the halfway mark, so I still have several pages left, and I will just continue using it. This is what I wanted to have. These lists could also be in here, but once this is done, I would need to transfer them someplace else, and this is what I'm trying to prevent by having a reference notebook. And I really like this format for it. It doesn't have to be the same one. I don't want to carry the reference notebook with me outside of the house, and I really love standard size traveler's notebook, so that's why it's in this size. At the end, I do have some relevant things that pertain to school and such. That is personal information, and I put it in the back because this way, if I ever was going to show this to you, I wouldn't have to flip or cover up any pages. And then I have this pencil board from Coco Daisy in here, and that's it. Oh yeah, I have my checkbook for the rent back here, and there's older list from a different journal that I put in here. It was kind of a reference notebook, so yeah, I'm slowly trying to work through this, or whenever I have the urge to organize, I can go here and see what's still left. I really love this. This was my first traveler's notebook. It's the Midori brand. It's the brown. I purchased this button at Stitches West this February, and I really love how this looks on here. And this is probably my most loved, used, and my go-to cover when it comes to traveler's notebook covers in the standard size. The next one that I have and that I have been using since last August is a goals setting notebook. Again, I didn't want to have this in my everyday carry. I also didn't want to have it in this size because I didn't think that the format of this paper was suitable for what I was going to do in here, and I really like the size for this. So I will definitely continue using a passport size notebook for my goal setting. I started in 2019, so I just added 2019. I put down how I want to set my goals, what I want them to be like. I added aspirations. I started in quarters, but then I went to monthly goal setting because I have such a small attention span that having goals that span over a quarter just felt like unmanageable. So that was the first quarter. I think I transferred it to here because I didn't really, I had it in a different notebook. And then I fell off the bandwagon and got back into this in August. That's when I transferred it over here. And I have been, so I checked in, I looked back at those goals, I refined, I looked at what my aspirations were for the end of the year. I again did this as quarterly check-in. And then in quarter four, in the beginning of quarter four, I decided I would go back to monthly check-ins, try to look what goals were, what I wanted. And it was really good to go back and added goals to my monthly review. So I put down my goals, and then at the end of the month, I checked and looked what was actually, what did I achieve. From here, I took the goal, which was maybe not very actionable or would have required multiple steps to reach, into my monthly to-do list, and wrote down, for instance, where for Project Live 2018, I wanted to make 2 spreads. So I would put work on week, whatever, 52, 2018 in my monthly next actions list. And then my work on week 14, 2018, which meant this was a task that I could then put onto a weekly task list, if that makes any sense. And then, so I went through, I refined them every month, and ever since I have actually done this. Sometimes I would go in and think, what do I want to do? How can I put this into a goal? And then that was 2019. 2020, I decided to have a word of the year. I translated this into where would it refer to my whole life: relationships, spending, body, mind, family life, kids, hobbies, house. And then I looked at what does this abstract actually mean. And now, and that's what I've been doing. I decided to think of my budget. Haven't updated this yet. Spending, trying to not spend a lot, but also support small businesses. So that's kind of like a but it's really, I really like having this here. I also did a goal setting or reflection from Minimal Plan. I will link them in the description box below. I don't even remember what the notebook was. I purchased that last year and went through this. There was one specific thing. Look back on each month of the year and writing down the, let me check, where is it? Right here. The highlights, challenges, and accomplishments. So I decided to also incorporate that into my goal setting and put that list right here. I still need to go back and fill in March and April. But I really like adding the highlights and challenges and accomplishments closer to when it actually happened, makes it more tangible for me. So yeah, that's something that I really need to work on. But again, the pandemic happened and this just went into the background and not was as present anymore. So that's what I've been doing in here. I didn't formulate as explicit goals for May because again, there isn't really much that we can do. And so that's what's reflected in my goals. They're not as many. Really love this. I think this is going to stick with me for a long time. Then I have one. This one is my reading journal. I started taking notes on the bullet journal method, and that was it. I watched a video of a 60-minute climbing session. I wrote down what they did here. I left pages for the bullet journal method here, and I haven't really touched it ever since. It's not like, it's okay. I'll just keep it handy for when I need it. It's housed in maybe I should tell you about this one. This is a Camel Traveler's Notebook. I purchased this secondhand. This is definitely made by me. It was in pristine condition when I got it, but I really like used journals, so I'm not very gentle with this. And this is housed in a Eberhard Studio Folio. I love her handcrafted folios, and I'm actually getting another one pretty soon, so I can't really wait to get that one. Just wanted to mention this. And this one is a Foxy Fix Wildflower Amber, just a regular traveler's notebook, just with 2 strings, just like the traveler's notebook from Midori. Two elastics, and that's it. I could put this in here, but these notebooks, as I serve 2 different purposes, and I don't want to carry a reading journal with my reference notebook because they just don't pertain to each other. And as I said before, I haven't really used this a lot because I didn't need to use it, and so it wouldn't really make sense to chunk this one up if this could live in its own journal. I'd rather have multiple covers and single books in one than have a really huge chunky thing. That's something that I learned over the years. And then this one is a Mystics Little Gifts B6 cover. It's the carbon color, and this is where I keep my creative journal. Creative meaning projects, knitting and sewing projects. I'm documenting in here, and I just add whenever I start a new project and finish projects. I add photos, I write down details, and it is really fun. It's very not very designed, meaning that I'm not looking to have this be some kind of fancy schmancy scrapbook with design principles and stuff. It's just documenting what I'm purchasing, making. So that's all the things that are in here. I had my garden journal in here, but as I said just right now, I don't really like having different things in one cover because it's just not working. So I took my garden journal out, and that's something that I added. So let me show you the ones that were over on this side when I started the video. These are things that I have added or that have been here even before 2020 started. In the beginning of 2020, when I shared my lineup for 2020, I had a projects notebook in the standard size. It didn't really work in the format size. I liked having it in rings, and I do love a pocket ring because that would be the size that I need for each project. I don't really need huge paper sizes for each and every project, but this is not really working. I don't know what it is. I'll just keep it here for whenever I might want to use it again. I made cute dividers. I added down finished projects. I have each one of my projects for knitting right here, but then I have them in here as well. And the knitting projects I really do keep track of on Ravelry, so I don't really need this. So maybe when I go back to working in my paper projects that I want to finish at one point, maybe that's when I need this more. I don't have a purpose besides the projects notebook for this, so I'll just keep it around and see if I ever go back to it and make use of it. If not, whenever I have an idea for use of this, I will change it out. So yeah, I will definitely, when I'm evaluating all the things for next year, this might not be included anymore. But for now, and since this is definitely not normal life, and I'm actually really afraid that normal life as we knew it before the pandemic started is just not coming back. But yeah, that's another discussion for another day. So whenever a new normal is established, I will see if this is relevant or not. What has become very relevant to me is this. I just printed this out 3 days ago. It's a free printable from Printable Kate. It's a B6 monthly notebook, and I am using this for my garden journaling. I just started urban gardening in April, and I have taken notes. I had it in a different notebook, actually part of this, and had it in this cover. But as I said, I didn't really like it. Didn't go with my knitting and sewing projects. I didn't like having it in there and having to carry this with me everywhere. So also the format didn't work for me. So I decided to try this. It's a monthly calendar, and I'm just writing in here when I sew stuff, when things sprout, when I do something, when I water the plants, when I fertilize them. The boxes are big enough for that. And when I watch videos or read something that pertains to gardening, I'm just gonna add them in the empty spaces. And there's still pages over here that are empty because I just started it in April. There is a blank page back here. This is blank, and then I added some notes pages to the back if I ever needed those. I used some scrapbooking paper as a cover. I stitched it and bound it, and it's just working by itself. I don't really need a cover for this. But, and that's why this is here. This is a cover that I won in a giveaway from Kelsey Creates. That's her. She's the maker of these covers, and I won her giveaway with this cover, some felt tip markers, and this B6 Stalogy. And so that's what I'm going to use as my planner once this one is done. I always thought this was too big, but now that I look at it and compare it, it's not that much bigger. So I'm curious to see how my planning is going to change once I switch in here. The benefit of having a B6 planner would be that this size would work. And I went to this freebie in B6 size because I wanted boxes that were big enough to write in, and because I know that I really like the size of a B6. I know that standard size, I said standard size, really, I love the size. Yes, I do, but especially for calendars, there's much more space here than it would be in here. So, and since I'm not taking these anywhere, I don't really have to decide on one specific size for everything that I use. So this works great in that size. And so I actually could just put it in here with my planner, because I do use this definitely on a daily, day by day, every other day basis. And so this would definitely make a lot of sense in my everyday carry. But that's that. So I have this ready to go, and I said that I am waiting on another journal from Eberhard Studio. I had a Travels notebook cover that I sent her. It was a just plain one, like this, no pockets, no nothing, that I didn't really use much. And she's making a folio for me out of that, and I cannot wait to see it and receive it. And so maybe when that arrives here, I might switch early, who knows? Maybe I'm okay with just setting this up then. I'm excited to receive it and see how I'm going to use it. I love the closure on this one. What I'm not too excited about is the thickness of the notebook. I will definitely use this as well because it has some awesome markings on it. These two I have had for years before. This was my bullet journal in September of 2018. I used this until the notebook, the Jibun Techo that I used in 2019 arrived here, and used this like the Jibun Techo. And once I had that and I didn't need this anymore, it was a notebook for everything, like a notes-taking notebook. And I realized that I didn't want to have the same or all the things in one notebook. But I also used this to write down all the courses that I took for, what did I want to say? Yes, for Starbucks when I did my trainings. And so this has become my Starbucks notebook for all of the things that I have needed to learn for Starbucks. And I still have pages left, and that's what I'm using this for. And once this is done, I will get another one of those to continue my learning, my job-related learning in this one. And then this is my 2019 journal. I haven't finished this. I thought in the beginning of the pandemic that I could go back in and work in this, and that's why it's here. My plan is to work in here. I haven't really done a lot. So this is probably the only page that I worked in, but there's so many pages that I still could fill in, and that's why it's here. I'm not giving up hope yet. And then we started following tutorials of journaling, and so that's what I put in here. And I'm just gonna continue use this, maybe not, maybe finish this and then decide it's done. I don't know yet, but it was in the pile of current journals, so here it is. Would I consider this a failure? This just came into my mind. No, not really. I had fun creating this. And even if there's nothing else going to be on this page ever, it was still a great experience to just make this, if you know what I mean. So just playing with watercolors and creating this was fun. But maybe one day or not, I might go back in here. It was definitely fun, and I'm actually right now, since I have lots of time, I'm actually considering doing this more than this for next year. But I'm not sure if this is just something that is because now I have time, because I stopped this because I was so stressed out of working in this because it was so hard to do, to keep up. Yeah. This sounds so depressing right now. I'm not depressed at all. I'm really enjoying all the journals. I really like giving myself permission to use whatever I want to use, to stop when something is not working anymore. And I would love to hear your thoughts. What are you using right now? Did it change with the beginning of the pandemic? Is your planner still working for you? For me, it is definitely working. I'm using it more than I actually did before. And I hope this is a trend that continues. Let me know in the comments how you're doing, what you're doing. I'd love to chat, and I will see you soon. Bye.